I became a live-in son-in-law. My wife was the eldest daughter of Kyoto's most powerful family, a woman whose beauty was as cold and ethereal as an immortal's, but whose soul was steeped in obsession to the bone. After 3 years of marriage, she finally agreed to a divorce. Hell yes, freedom at last. If I didn't leave now, exactly 1 month later, that white moonlight man of hers, the one who had just returned from studying abroad, would grow jealous of me occupying his rightful place and arrange a car crash to turn me into a vegetable perfect timing. With the 100 million yuan in compensation, I could head straight to the casino and go all in on the next World Cup champion. Win, and it'd be mansions and models. Lose, and I'd just get back to work. But in the study, my otherworldly wife snapped her brush in her hand with a sharp crack, ink splattering across her face. She wasn't angry. Instead, she ran her tongue over the ink stains at the corner of her mouth, her eyes burning with a feverish obsession. Husband, I was wrong to bring up divorce. She hugged me from behind, her warm body pressing tightly against my back, her voice soft and seductive. Do you think I'm not proactive enough? Tell me what you want to unlock tonight. I'll give you anything. Men, the seduction vanished instantly, replaced by icy menace. Go to the airport and bring that bastard Lin back in chains. I'm going to make him into a specimen and pickle him in my new antique vase. My blood turned to ice. Even with Gu Qinghan's warmth against my back, it felt like leaning against a glacier thousands of years old. I stood frozen, not daring to move a muscle. She's insane. Absolutely insane. Murder is illegal, lady. Turning someone into a human pig? Do you think we're shooting a period drama? Inside, I was screaming. Outwardly, I forced a doting smile. That's how I'd survived the past 3 years. Gu Qinghan chuckled softly by my ear, her warm breath tickling my skin until my scalp tingled. Don't be afraid, husband. I'm only joking. Why would I dirty our home? The moment she finished speaking, the bodyguard's respectful reply came from outside. Yes, miss. She turned toward the door, her tone devoid of any emotion. Take her to the abandoned factory in the suburbs. Give her a welcome ceremony she'll never forget, so she knows exactly whose territory she's trespassing on. A welcome ceremony? A welcome ceremony that turns someone into a human pig? That's even more terrifying. It's worse than killing her outright. My teeth were chattering. Gu Qinghan turned back, cupping my face in her hands, her beautiful eyes shining with adoration. Were you trying to warn me that there's a threat between us? You really do care about me after all. She went on, smiling with pure bliss, as if talking to herself. Care about your life is more like it. She picked up the divorce agreement I had just signed and tore it slowly, deliberately into shreds before my eyes. Paper snowflakes drifted down around us. I've received your test. Don't ever say those words again. Her cool fragrance mixed with the scent of ink in the study, making my head spin. This wasn't a test, it was my SO signal. She leaned in and brushed a light kiss against my lips. As a reward for warning me, how about I wear that silk nightgown you like best tonight? Like hell I like it. Weren't you the one who laid out every nightgown in front of me last month, forcing me to choose one before you'd sleep? I only wanted to stay alive. That night, I lay there like a puppet at her mercy. At midnight, I woke to the vibration of a phone. It was a video sent from an unknown number. I opened it. Under dim lighting, the elegant, refined white moonlight, Lin Fan was chained and suspended in midair. Covered in blood, sobbing uncontrollably, he screamed at the camera, "Sister-in-law, I was wrong. I was really wrong. I won't ever dare again. Please let me go." Terrified, my hand jerked and the phone clattered to the floor. Gu Qinghan stirred awake. She sat up, picked up the phone, glanced at the video, and didn't even blink. Then, right in front of me, she deleted both the video and the number. When she finished, she straddled me, her bright eyes glowing eerily in the dark. Now that the threat's gone, husband, shouldn't we do something? Loving? My world went black. Run. I had to run. The thought grew like wild weeds, consuming every corner of my mind. I spent 3 full days planning. I memorized the guard's shift changes, mapped out the blind spots in the surveillance, and even hid 100,000 yuan in cash inside my shoe soles. At 3 a.m., Gu Qinghan was sound asleep. I crept out of bed like a thief, changed into my escape clothes, slung on my backpack and tiptoed out of the bedroom. The villa was dead silent except for the thundering of my heartbeat. As long as I made it to the airport and bought the earliest flight out, anywhere, I'd be free. The 100 million was gone, but life was what mattered. Goodbye forever, Gu Qinghan. Step by step, I reached the side door. My trembling hand reached for the icy handle, just as my fingertips were about to touch it. Click! Every light in the living room snapped on. My legs nearly gave out, and I almost dropped to my knees on the spot. I spun around. Gu Qinghan was standing at the top of the staircase. She wore nothing but a sheer black lace slip, her pale, slender legs faintly visible under the lights. Barefoot, she looked like a demon risen from hell. Husband, where are you going? Her voice was soft, gentle, and it landed on my heart like a sledgehammer. How did she know? Did she plant a GPS on me? It's over. It's all over. She descended the stairs, her bare feet making no sound against the cold marble. When she reached me, she sighed softly. I knew you were testing me again. She took my backpack, unzipped it, and dumped its contents onto the floor. A few changes of clothes, a passport, and a pack of compressed biscuits. She laughed, charming, yet unhinged. Look at you, you didn't even bring money. You weren't trying to leave at all. You just wanted to make me worry, to love you more, to need you more. I did. I brought the 100,000 I hid in my shoe soles. That was my escape fund. I wanted to rip off my shoes and show her right then, but I didn't dare. She rose on her toes, her icy lips brushing mine, her voice muffled. As a reward for your devotion, how about we try the bathroom tonight? You once said you liked the steam and mist. The next day, I woke up aching all over. Sunlight filtered through the curtains. I instinctively reached to pull them open, only to realize something was wrong. Every window and door in the villa had been replaced with bank vault-level security systems. Metal bars thicker than my fingers had been installed over the windows. Only she knew the password. I was well and truly a caged bird. My days blurred into eating, sleeping, watching TV, and being dragged into unspeakable activities by Gu Qinghan. I gave up resisting. Escape was impossible. I could only pray that the plot gods would hurry up and let Lin Fan, that idiot, crash me into a vegetable state already. At least then I wouldn't have to endure this dual torment of body and mind. That afternoon, lying bored on the sofa, I replayed scenes from the original novel in my head. Being locked up here was unbearably dull. Right. Next week, the Gu family was facing a major crisis. An overseas merger worth tens of billions was compromised because Vice President Zhang Hing, a distant relative of the family, was a mole planted by a rival company. He leaked Gu's reserve price, causing them to overpay by 3 billion for no reason. Zhang Heng was deeply hidden, a master of disguise. In the end, grandfather Gu, the family's pillar, was so enraged that he suffered a heart attack and was rushed to the ICU. Only then did Gu Qinghan begin investigating, but by then it was too late. The money was already gone. Lost in thought, I suddenly felt a peeled grape pressed to my lips. Gu Qinghan. Today she wore a flowing white dress, her hair loose, her face bare of makeup, gentle and harmless. I opened my mouth and ate the grape. What a waste. 3 billion could have funded my escape 100 times over. I glanced at her. Her fingers paused slightly as she peeled another grape, but she said nothing, expressionless, and fed it to me. Husband, I have a meeting at the company this afternoon. Be good and stay home. She kissed my forehead and left. I didn't think much of it, continuing to lie on the sofa, recalling the next plot point. That afternoon, while playing games, the Gu family's private WeChat group suddenly exploded. Hundreds of messages flooded in. Curious, I clicked it open. Qinghan, have you lost your mind? Zhang Heng grew up right before our eyes. How could he be a spy? Exactly, Qinghan. You can't listen to some outsider's nonsense and wrong your own family. Where's the evidence? You say he leaked the reserve price. Show us proof. I saw second uncle, third uncle, and a whole crowd of relatives frantically adding her. Then Gu Qinghan posted a video. In it, Zhang Heng met furtively with another man handing over a file folder. That man was the CEO of a rival company. The group fell silent. Seconds later, grandfather Gu, the family's anchor, sent a voice message. His voice trembled with shock and fury. Qinghan, where did you get this evidence? Everyone waited for her answer. I was curious too. The book hadn't mentioned her discovering this so early. Then I saw her reply, my husband dreamed it. The entire Gu family group fell into a deathly silence. That evening, the family's pillar arrived at our villa in person, bringing along a retinue of uncles and cousins. The old man grabbed my hand the moment he saw me, looking at me not as a son-in-law, but as a peerless master. Chen Yi, we owe you everything this time. From now on, you speak for the Gu family. Behind him, a crowd of Gu elders nodded and bowed to me. I felt like I was dreaming. I'm not, I didn't. Stop saying that. I'm just a salted fish who wants to run away. Don't look at me like that. I'm scared. Gu Qinghan walked over, wrapped her arm around mine, and smiled proudly. Grandfather said it himself, my husband is no ordinary man. I looked at her, tears streaming down my face. I felt myself drifting even further from freedom. Despair set in. This kind of prophetic cheat power was a divine weapon in anyone else's hands. But for me, it was a death sentence, chaining me tighter to Gu Qinghan's side. Since force wouldn't work, I'd try softening her up. I decided to destroy my own image. A woman like Gu Qinghan, raised with the finest elite education, must be a perfectionist at heart. She liked my clean-cut, aloof, celestial appearance. Fine, I'd shatter that image completely. I'd make her despise me, loathe me, until she couldn't stand it anymore and kicked me out like trash. Operation Self-Sabotage commenced. Dinner was served. Premium Australian Wagyu. The butler laid out gleaming silverware before me with practiced precision. I ignored the knife and fork entirely, reached out, grabbed a perfectly seared steak, and stuffed it into my mouth, chewing loudly, grease dripping down my chin. I made sure to smack my lips obnoxiously. Yes, that's it. Hate me. Call me vulgar. Say I have no manners. Throw me out like garbage. I chewed while sneaking glances at Gu Qinghan from the corner of my eye. She stopped eating. She stared at me quietly, her beautiful eyes flickering with something unreadable. Here it comes. She's going to blow up. My heart leapt with joy. The next second, Gu Qinghan elegantly set down her knife and fork. She wiped her mouth with a napkin then, before the butler's horrified gaze, reached out with her slender fingers, picked up a lamb chop, and began nibbling on it delicately, copying my manner. She even turned to the petrified butler and said, Uncle Lee, from now on prepare all dishes to be easy to eat with hands. My husband prefers it that way. The steak in my mouth lost all flavor. Plan 1 failed. Refusing to give up, the next day I dug out my most ridiculous outfit. Loud floral shorts, a t-shirt emblazoned with so handsome I shocked the central committee, paired with flip-flops. I strutted around our palace-like villa dressed like that, humming the trashiest viral TikTok songs. How's that? Low class enough for you, my noble fairy wife? Divorce me already. Gu Qinghan came downstairs and froze when she saw me. My heart leapt success. Instead, she walked over and smoothed my wrinkled collar. Husband, you look very cute like this. Cute? I looked at my disheveled hooligan reflection in the mirror and sank into deep suspicion. Since when was this remotely cute? To my horror, on the third day, I found an entire closet filled with trendy streetwear t-shirts and beach shorts. The shoe rack overflowed with every style of flip-flops imaginable. That night, Gu Qinghan emerged from her shower wearing a t-shirt with the exact same pattern as mine, paired with identical flip-flops. Couple's attire. She leaned against me, breathing in deeply with satisfaction. Husband, I understand now. You're telling me that true elegance isn't about appearances, but about inner richness. You're teaching me to return to simplicity, to seek truth in plainness. I looked at the 5-figure price tag still attached to her simple t-shirt and stayed silent. I gave up completely. The filters on this woman's eyes must be thicker city walls. My self-destruction plan had somehow transformed into a bizarre couple's fashion trend. I fully embraced defeat. Every day, I lay on a lounge chair in the garden, soaking up the sun, pondering life and the next key plot point that could finally sever all ties between me and the Gu family. Got it. Tonight, the city was hosting a charity auction. Old Man Gu, that antiquated fossil, planned to spend 80 million yuan on a Qing dynasty lotus-patterned vase. But the vase was a modern counterfeit, coated with toxic pigments used for aging. The old man would treasure it, caressing it daily, and within 3 days, suffer heavy metal poisoning and land in the ICU. It would become the biggest joke among Kyoto's elite, shaming the Gu family completely. If my prediction came true, Gu Qinghan would definitely stop him, but the stubborn old man wouldn't believe her. The resulting fight would drive a wedge between grandfather and granddaughter. And I, the instigator of this heresy, would surely be banished from the Gu family by the old man himself. Perfect. I was basking in my brilliant scheme when a glass of iced juice appeared before me. Gu Qinghan settled into the lounge chair beside me, a fruit platter in hand. I noticed her hand pause midair. Her expression turned icy. My heart sank. Damn it, she heard me again. That evening, the family dinner was in full swing. Grandfather Gu, slightly tipsy, announced with rosy cheeks, I have good news. I heard tonight's auction features a Qing dynasty lotus vase I've long coveted. I will win it no matter the cost. The whole table applauded, offering flattery. Only Gu Qinghan put down her chopsticks. You're not going. She stood abruptly, her quiet voice exploding like a thunderclap, silencing the entire dining room. Everyone was stunned. The old man's face darkened instantly. Qinghan, what is the meaning of this? Embarrassing me in front of everyone? I said you're not going, she repeated, her gaze unwavering. That vase is dangerous. Nonsense. The old man slammed the table, rattling the dishes. Who have you been listening to this time? Did Chen Yi dream about this too? Swish. Every relative's gaze turned into a spotlight, zeroing in on me, suspicious, gloating. I wished I could crawl under the table. Dear gods, don't look at me. I didn't say anything. That's not how the script goes. Just say the vase is problematic. Why drag me into it? Gu Qinghan stepped in front of me, shielding me like a lioness protecting her cub. Yes, he told me, and I believe him. She scanned the room, her voice glacial. Whoever dares attend that auction tonight makes an enemy of me. The atmosphere plummeted to freezing. The standoff between grandfather and granddaughter threatened to tear the family apart, and I had become the detonator. I sat there paralyzed, trapped between 2 raging fires. Dinner ended in disaster. The old man stormed out, shooting me a look that promised murder. My uncles and aunts whispered and shot daggers at me with their eyes. See, I told you Chen Ye was bad news. Bewitched Qinghan senseless. A freeloader, now sticking his nose into Gu family affairs, acting like he owns the place. Just wait till tomorrow's auction. We'll see how they clean up this mess. I was consumed with anxiety. This was bad. Gu Qinghan had fallen out with the entire family because of me. If she was stripped of her inheritance rights, my 100 million compensation would vanish into thin air. The following 3 days passed in agony. The villa's atmosphere was suffocating. My relatives looked at me like I was a demon who had corrupted a saint, their eyes practically willing me to drop dead. Gu Qinghan, however, acted as if nothing happened, eating, drinking, and finding new ways to torment me at night. On the 3rd day, a financial scandal hit like a bombshell, shaking all of Kyoto. Renowned auction house accused of fraud. Priceless antique, revealed as toxic fake. The report detailed how the so-called Qing dynasty vase, authenticated by experts, was not only a modern replica, but coated with heavy metals exceeding safety limits. Prolonged contact caused neurological damage and risked death. The photo accompanying the article showed the exact vase I'd seen on the old man's phone. That evening, the villa doorbell rang. On the monitor, I saw grandfather Gu and my uncle standing outside, each carrying expensive gifts, their expressions awkward and uneasy. Gu Qinghan glanced at me. Let them in. The moment the door opened, the old man rushed in and grabbed my hands. This titan of industry was actually weeping, his voice choked with emotion. Master, we were blind, we wronged you. Son-in-law, you saved the Gu family. Behind him, my uncles and aunts stepped forward, bowing apologetically. Chen Yi, your 3rd uncle was wrong. Please don't take it to heart. Yes, nephew-in-law, your 2nd uncle apologizes. I was completely dumbfounded. From that day on, my status within the Gu family underwent a seismic shift. I went from a disposable son-in-law to the revered Master Chen. If I said I wanted tofu for lunch, the kitchen would research 108 ways to prepare it. If I lazed in the garden, they'd say the master was absorbing cosmic energy, contemplating the Tao. If I yawned out of boredom, they'd panic, fearing a bloodbath in the family's future. I was numb. This deified existence was suffocating. I felt myself drifting further from normalcy, further from freedom. Hoisted onto a pedestal, I was chained tighter than ever. Gu Qinghan seemed to revel in it. She treated me like an exquisite doll, dressing me up and parading me before everyone as her greatest trophy. Meanwhile, I could only roast her internally, plotting my next escape. Yes, I hadn't given up. As long as I lived, I couldn't abandon my yearning for freedom. I dove back into the novel's plot, searching for an opportunity that would make me rich, truly financially independent. Once I escaped successfully, the first thing I'd do was open a stock account. I'd pour everything into that failing company, Nebula Tech. Right now, its stock price was in the gutter. Everyone thought it was bankrupt. But I knew, 3 months from now, the domestic giant Apocalypse Group would announce a full acquisition. Having taken a liking to Nebula's AI technology, the stock would skyrocket 100-fold. 10,000 in would become 10 million. A million would become 100 million. Then I'd buy an island, live on sunshine and beaches with bikinis for the rest of my life. No worries ever again. I was drooling at the fantasy when Gu Qinghan's voice floated over. What is husband thinking about? You look so happy. Today she wore a sharp business suit, her hair pinned up, revealing a graceful neck. I caught the glint in her eyes, that meaningful, knowing smile. My heart sank again. The next day, before leaving for work, she asked her assistant to bring over a document for me to sign. Husband, this is a gift for you. Confused, I took it. Emblazoned across the top in bold letters. Agreement for the establishment of the 10 billion yuan private equity fund, named after Mr. Chen Ye. 10 billion? My hand shook, nearly dropping the document. I stared at Gu Qinghan, unable to form a coherent sentence. What kind of fund is this? Gu Qinghan smiled gently. It's named after you. Seed capital is 10 billion. I've already transferred it from finance. She placed a pen in my hand. Come, sign here, and the fund is officially launched. My hand trembled like I had Parkinson's. 10 billion? Where did she get 10 billion? Even the Gu family couldn't casually throw 10 billion around for fun, could they? This crazy woman, she didn't sell the company, did she? Gu Qinghan covered my hand with hers, guiding me to write Chen Ye on the signature line. Then, in front of me, she called the fund manager on speakerphone. Managers Wang, allocate all funds from the Chen Ye fund to Nebula Tech. The managers on the other end sounded like he was crying. Miss Gu, please, you can't be serious. Nebula Tech is about to be delisted. 10 billion would just vanish into thin air. Do as I say. Gu Qinghan's tone brooked no argument. I take full responsibility for any consequences. After hanging up, she looked at me, satisfied. Husband, I'll help you achieve your dream. For the next 3 months, I lived in constant terror. I watched Nebula Tech's stock price plummet day after day, hitting limit down after limit down. I could practically picture manager Wang weeping in his office. 3 months later, a breaking news story exploded across national financial media. Corporate giant Apocalypse Group announces full acquisition of Nebula Tech. Stock skyrockets 100x overnight. Mysterious Chen Yi fund becomes legendary. Staring at the TV, at the photo of the so-called teenage stock god and investment prodigy, I felt like I was dreaming. The endless string of zeros in my account made my head spin. Gu Qinghan hugged me from behind, resting her chin on my shoulder. Husband, you're amazing. Tonight, let's celebrate properly in the new massage bathtub. I felt hollowed out again. The more money I had, the greater the fame, the further freedom drifted. Chained by wealth and reputation, I became the most sought-after figure in Kyoto. Teenage stock god, Gu family's divine calculator, reincarnated Zhuge Liang. Titles rained down on me like snowflakes. Countless elites and dignitaries schemed to befriend me. Gu Qinghan delighted in dragging me to top-tier galas, showing me off as her ultimate prize. Just as I was getting used to this decadent life, Lin Fan, the man who should have disappeared, reappeared. At a premier Kyoto gala, he looked restored to his elite persona. Tailored suit, hair slicked back, but the venom in his eyes was unmistakable. Midway through the party, he suddenly grabbed the microphone and took the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me a moment. All eyes turned to him. Tonight, I wish to expose a monumental scam and the true face of a despicable fraud. He pointed directly at me. The room erupted in shock, all gazes shifting from him to me. I had been sipping champagne, looking for a corner to hide in. Now I was the center of attention. Embarrassment made my toes curl, desperately wanting to dig a hole in the floor. We've all been deceived by him. Lin Fan's voice was impassioned, like a hero exposing darkness. He is not a master nor a stock god. He is a bastard born in an orphanage, a gigolo who climbed the social ladder by deceiving Miss Gu. Bro, are you an idiot? Who cares about origins these days? What does this prove except your jealousy? You'd have better luck explaining what you're about to do in 5 minutes. Right? I remembered now. You've bribed the head of security. You're going to create chaos, then frame me for your company's data leak. You've already hired hackers to plant forged evidence on my phone. Tiski, meticulous plan. Too bad you're up against me. I glanced at Gu Qinghan beside me. The corner of her mouth lifted in a cold smile. She pulled out her phone and typed a quick message. Lin Fan was still ranting, whipping up the crowd. Scum like him from the gutters of society has no place here. He only taints our noble circle. At that moment, the banquet hall doors were kicked open. A squad of uniformed police stormed in, guns drawn. The lead officer flashed his badge, his face grim. Lin Fan, you are under arrest for commercial espionage, evidence tampering, and framing others. Come with us. 2 officers rushed the stage, pinning Lin Fan's arms behind his back. His cronies, the vice president and the bribed security chief, were also tackled to the ground, caught red-handed. Lin Fan's face turned deathly pale. As they dragged him away, he stared at me, his eyes like those of a devil crawling out of hell. Silence fell over the entire hall. Everyone looked at me with a mixture of awe and terror. This time, looking at Gu Qinghan's calm, composed profile, I felt no fear. Instead, a strange, unfamiliar flutter stirred in my chest. Maybe she wasn't so terrifying after all. Lin Fan's arrest meant the biggest threat in the original plot was neutralized. I wouldn't be crashed into a vegetable state. A massive weight lifted off my chest. But that didn't mean I was safe. There was still someone infinitely more dangerous than Lin Fan standing right next to me. Yet, since that gala incident, my feelings toward her had shifted subtly. Fear remained, but it was now tangled with a vague sense of reliance and admiration. I was startled by my own thoughts. I must have developed Stockholm Syndrome. That day, I was in the game room testing a new VR system. A limited edition model Gu Qinghan had airlifted from abroad, supposedly one of only 10 in the world. Mid-game, my phone vibrated. I pulled off the VR headset and checked my phone. It was a photo. In it, Gu Qinghan was tied to an old chair, eyes closed, seemingly unconscious. The background was a dilapidated warehouse. Below the image was a veg. East City abandoned docks, warehouse Warehouse number 3. Come alone. No police, or I'll send her to meet her maker. The sender was anonymous, but I knew who it was. Lin Fan, that lunatic. He had escaped from custody. My brain went blank. The game controller slipped from my hand, shattering on the floor, the docks. I remembered now, in the book, Lin Fan's final act was kidnapping Gu Qinghan, planting bombs in the East City warehouse, and trying to die together with her. Gu Qinghan survived, but Lin Fan was blown to bits. Fear drowned me like a freezing tide, but amidst the terror, an unfamiliar, raging fury ignited. I didn't call the police. They'd only provoke him. He was a complete psychopath. I didn't even think. For the first time in my life, my mind wasn't calculating escape routes. I grabbed the car keys from the coffee table and bolted out of the villa like a madman. The Lamborghini Gu Qinghan had gifted me, which I'd never driven, roared to life, its engine echoing through the empty estate. I floored the accelerator, the car shooting forward like an arrow. My only thought, she cannot be hurt. Screw the plot. Screw becoming a vegetable. If she died, what was the point of living? In that moment, I realized the paranoid, obsessive woman who terrified me to my core had, without me noticing, become the most important person in my life. I weaved through traffic at breakneck speed, ignoring honking horns and curses, leaving a trail of cars in my wake. By the time I reached the East City docks, dusk was falling. The sea breeze carried a salty metallic stench of rust. Warehouse number 3. I pushed open the rusted iron gates. Inside, Lin Fan stood in the center. At his feet lay the unconscious Gu Qinghan. Seeing me, he burst into maniacal laughter. You finally came! You thief! Usurper! His voice echoed through the empty space, shrill and unhinged. You stole everything that was mine. My status, my wealth, my woman. Gu Qinghan seemed to stir at the noise, waking slowly. When she saw me, her usually unshakable eyes filled with panic and terror for the first time. Chen Yi, why are you here? Run! She screamed hoarsely. My wife is here. Where else would I go? I looked at her, smiling for the first time with genuine sincerity. While exchanging taunts with Lin Fan, I used my knowledge of the warehouse layout from the original novel to inch closer to Gu Qinghan. Lin Fan, you lost. Admit it. You never loved her. You just loved the power of the Gu family and the ego boost of conquering her. Shut up. Enraged, Lin Fan completely lost it. He whipped a dagger from behind his back and charged at me with a roar. Damn it. The book didn't mention a knife. The plot had deviated. There was no time to think, no time to dodge. Just as he reached me, I spun around and yanked the newly untied Gu Qinghan into my arms, shielding her with my body. Schlick! The dagger plunged deep into my back. Excruciating pain radiated through my limbs. I groaned, feeling my strength draining away. The thick scent of blood filled my nostrils. Gu Qinghan trembled violently in my arms. Warm drops fell onto my neck. Her tears. Summoning my last ounce of strength, I whispered in her ear, "Don't be afraid. This time I'll protect you." Amidst her heart-wrenching cries, my world plunged into endless darkness. Police sirens wailed across the docks. When I woke, the smell of antiseptic filled my nose. I was lying in a soft hospital bed, every part of me aching, especially my back. I twitched my fingers. A cold hand was gripping mine tightly. I turned my head. Gu Qinghan was slumped by my bedside, fast asleep. She looked haggard, her once radiant face pale, dark circles staining her eyes. She had lost weight. My heart clenched. I barely moved, and she jolted awake. Seeing me conscious, she froze. Then her tears burst forth like a broken dam. "Chen, you're awake." She held my hand, her voice shredded and hoarse. "I'm sorry. I can hear what you're thinking." I blinked, stunned. A few seconds later, I laughed in realization. So that's how it was. No wonder she always reacted whenever I roasted her in my head. "Ever since the day you asked for a divorce, I could hear you." She wept, looking like a child who had done something wrong. "I knew you wanted to run. I knew you were afraid of me. But I was even more afraid of losing you. So I kept you here in my own way." Looking at her fragile, helpless state, my heart melted into a pool of softness. "Do you still think I want to run now?" I asked, my voice raspy. She cried harder, shaking her head frantically. I don't know. But I won't lock you up anymore, Chen Ye. If you want to leave, just go." She pulled 2 documents from the nightstand. One was a new divorce agreement. The other was a property transfer deed. "The 100 million compensation, all our shared assets, the money from Nebula Tech. It's all yours. Please, just don't hate me anymore." Her hand shook so badly she could barely hold the flimsy papers. I didn't take them. I reached out with my uninjured arm, pulled her into my embrace, and gently kissed the tears from her face. "Silly girl," I said. "I signed a contract selling myself to the Gu family 3 years ago. I'm yours for life. I used to want to run because I was scared of dying. Now I'm not scared anymore, because if I die, I won't see you again." She stiffened in my arms, then broke down completely, sobbing with grief, relief, and boundless joy. Finally, she looked up, her eyes swollen and red, and kissed me fiercely, as if trying to meld me into her very bones. Sunlight streamed perfectly through the window. 1 year later, on a private island in the South Pacific, Gu Qinghan had bought this island with the profits from that stock trade, naming it Chenyi Island after me. I lounged on a soft beach chair, sipping iced coconut water, watching Gu Qinghan play in the waves nearby. She wore a sexy bikini, her figure even more voluptuous than a year ago, her lower abdomen slightly rounded with the glow of motherhood. Sunshine, beach, ocean waves, bikinis, and a wife and child. My ultimate dream had come true. I sighed with emotion. This decadent capitalist lifestyle was truly corrupting. I could get used to being even more degenerate. It was just that this back pain seemed to be getting worse. Gu Qinghan, that succubus, was really going to drain me dry. Gu Qinghan walked out of the sea carrying 2 cocktails, water droplets glistening on her flawless skin, sparkling under the sun. She handed me a drink and sat beside me, smiling. "What are you roasting me about in your head now?" I started. "You can still hear me?" Ever since we'd laid everything bare, her mind-reading ability had become sporadic. She said it was probably because my heart was fully open to her now, so she didn't need to pry anymore. I hadn't been caught in ages, and my courage had grown. Gu Qinghan blinked mischievously. "Not constantly. Probably because what you're thinking now, you'll also say to my face." But occasionally she leaned close, whispering in my ear, her warm breath making me blush. When your mind wanders, I can still catch a stray thought or two. She reached out and pinched the soft flesh at my waist. Not too hard, not too soft. Like how you're complaining I'm draining you dry again? I sucked in a sharp breath, grabbing her wandering hand and pulling her into my arms. Not at all. It's a case of deep love, harsh criticism. She arched an eyebrow, her eyes turning dangerous and alluring as she scanned me. Then should I show you just how much love I have for you tonight? Helpless yet doting, I laughed and captured her lips in a deep, searing kiss.